of the Archdiocese of Chicago, Cardinal Francis George, recently wrote a column that charged that, quote, Catholics in America are being forced to choose between their faith and the quote-unquote state religion, which imposes its own form of morality on everyone. Interesting. According to him, it also compels people to support sinful things like abortion and gay marriage, and if you don't support these things, then you're apparently a second-class citizen, just like the Christians and Jews who are fined for their religion in countries governed by Sharia law. Yes, he made that comparison. Sharia law. This man does not understand the definition of irony. Just like he doesn't understand or acknowledge the great disparity in numbers and power between Christians and, for example, non-Christians here in America. Now, the absolutely dumbfounding thing about this is that he uses the example of how Jews and Christians do pay a tax in countries governed by Sharia law, when in America, churches are tax exempt. When you make that argument, you lose, because it makes no sense. He even says this, quote, swimming against the tide means limiting one's access to positions of prestige and power in society. It means that those who choose to live life by the Catholic faith will not be welcomed as political candidates to national office, will not sit on editorial boards of major newspapers, will not be at home on most university faculties, will not have successful careers as actors and entertainers, nor will their children, who will also be suspect. Gee, you know, that sounds really familiar here in America. I can't quite see what group is marginalized like that. Oh, yeah, kind of reminds me of how atheists and agnostics are treated. Not being trusted, not having an atheist president, for example, in many states where atheists are not actually allowed to serve in public office. Sound kind of familiar? The victim mentality, man. What do you guys think?
Well, for me, where he's saying, oh, soon kind of people who want to live by Catholic faith, they won't be allowed to run for political office, they won't be able to. And for me, and I'll need to explain this afterwards, but they shouldn't be allowed to run for political office. What I mean by that is when they do get elected into office, when they become kind of president or they're, you know, chancellor of a university or CEO of a company, when they walk into that boardroom or into the Oval Office, they don't walk in with their religion. They leave that stuff at home. They can keep their religion, but when you go to work in a public office, you leave your religion there. I don't want your kind of views on the supernatural or anything that you believe to influence. I just want you to use your own reason, logic, education, and intellect. I don't think that people should use their religion to justify any real action that they do. And just in regards to his old kind of, oh, he's against abortion and gays, I mean, it's standard really, and he's right, he is swimming against the tide. And you know what happens when you swim against the tide? You eventually lose, you tire yourself out, and you can't win, and he's not going to win on any of these issues. And people like this, it's already happening, and it'll even pick up at a greater pace in the next few years. They'll just fade into obscurity and good riddance, as far as I'm concerned.
When Catholics were being persecuted or somehow held down, that was in the early 60s. And then John F. Kennedy got the fucking presidency. So I'm pretty sure that plight is over. Secondly...
Well, it was until the early 60s. There's a long current of anti-Catholicism in American life.
Right, but before Roe v. Wade, there was a lot of segregation and hardlining between denominations. True enough, but that's you eating your own. Secondly, what really hurts the Catholic Church is the systematic fucking of children and ensuring that those who are raping children do not face justice. Not so much supposed Sharia law and ensuring that you're taking care of your people. So it's like, I really, really hate it when people say this whole, oh, secularism is a religion now or atheism is a religion now. First of all, it denigrates what you understand as a religion because you need relics, you need ritual, you need holy texts, and none of that is in our secular government. And also, you get nothing but protection. Nobody in this country is sending our militarized fucking police officers to kick down your door to pull out all those rapists. Nobody's doing all this crazy stuff that you would think warrants all of this pain and suffering that they're talking about. It's just, it holds us back, this kind of ignorant thinking. And to throw Sharia law, like, there are many people who are dying under Sharia law. There are many people who are getting beheaded. I'm not talking about those 2 reporters. I'm talking about actual citizens that have to live their day and day through that law. Women who are getting raped, killed, murdered under this law. So no, I'm sorry. You're not suffering under Sharia law. It's not like Sharia law. You don't know the suffering under Sharia law that people actually are going through. I'm not Muslim, but that really just disgusts me to say something like that.
Just before Jordan jumps in, I mean, if you ask this guy, name me one of the laws under Sharia law, I bet he wouldn't be able to list you, and he'd probably fumble and he might be able to guess in a roundabout way, but he wouldn't be able to list you an exact one because he doesn't know what Sharia law is. He just heard the talking points that he's read on online blogs or from Fox News. He doesn't know what he's talking about when he talks about Sharia law at all.
Even if you try to meet this guy where he's at, he still doesn't make sense. Like, even if you accept what he says on the face, then it's still not a logical conclusion, because what the specific aspect of Sharia law that he compares it to is Jews and Christian people of the book having to pay the religious tax. You can stay here, you can be Christian, you can be Jews, but you got to pay a tax to your Islamic government because that's the state religion. And what he chooses to compare that to is having to take money in exchange for services from gay people. So he's comparing having your money forcibly taken away from you under Sharia law to having to forcibly make money under U.S. law. So clearly, like, he hasn't really thought his argument. Again, even if you try to suspend, and meet him where he's at, his argument still makes no sense whatsoever. Again, just to kind of reiterate what's been said here, like, once the state starts making the church perform marriages that the church doesn't believe in, then that's analogous to some aspects of Sharia law. More importantly, if the state made you as an individual marry a dude if you were a dude, then that would certainly be analogous of a state religion coming in. But the state granting itself the power to grant a civil status, for purposes of tax breaks and other, official legal privileges that the church does not have to recognize in any way, shape, form, or fashion, much less bless, is not analogous to Sharia law in any way. In fact, it's the opposite. It's the separation of church and state.
But you see this argument a lot throughout all of the religious denominations, is that they invoke this, we're being persecuted thing. We're being persecuted in a country where every single president has been at least a believer of ours in one form or another. We're being persecuted. We're being persecuted in a state where we can make damn sure that our children are taught our idea of what creationism is, as if it's legitimate against evolution. That's their persecution. And I think it's so disheartening, because it's like these people are holding us back from progressing. They're holding us back with this kind of dumb shit, and it really is just them pissed off that they don't have the majority of the pie anymore. They're mad that a lot of younger people are waking up and no longer wanting to be a part of their little crazy-ass church. And it's no fault of gays or atheists. It's all their fault and their actions. When you wear the badge of morality and say that you are a non-hateful person, but will create an establishment like Chick-fil-A that will say some hateful shit and encourage people to go and eat your product just to be an asshole to gay people, that doesn't make you look good. When you say things like, we don't need to protect gay children and we don't need to keep them from being bullied, that doesn't make you look good. When you see them complaining about an atheist not wanting to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance or say so help me God, or that poor Air Force service member who couldn't re-enlist because he didn't say so help me God, and you don't stand up against that, that doesn't make you look good. So it's like none of us are fucking up your image. You're doing that just fine all on your own. If you want to fix that, then come back into the 21st century with the rest of us, because everybody's happy. Nobody's trying to be a douchebag to anybody, and that's a good thing. So it's like, jump on board, man, anytime.